Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Aisha Yesufu, and by the grace of God, I'll be running for Senate in 2031. Yes, please mark the calendar. If God let us reach there with good health and life, definitely by the grace of God. I wanted to run for Senate in 2027, but unfortunately, the party that I joined refused to have a primaries in Abuja. According to them, there's the leaders of the party, or a leader, or the national leader of the party, that he had given his words to someone that had come in a month before we did. But the thing, like I said to him in one of the conversations I had when he was telling me, like, why didn't you tell me the first time I came? I remember on the 6th of May, I joined the party. I think I joined the party. Was it on the 5th or on the 6th of May? Can't remember now. Which one was it? Anyways, as soon as I joined the party, when I had a meeting with him, I put it forward that, look, hey, this is what what I wanted to do. And he said, yes, there's someone who was there. There's another person who is coming in, that all of you three will sit down. If you can't arrive at a consensus, do primaries. Only a week to primaries to tell me that, oh no, I've done this, I've done that. But anyway, at the end of the day, the party, because for every consultation that they had, they got the word that Aisha was going to win the primaries. I was like, okay, let's go for primaries. If the person defeats me, no problem. And they decided they're not going to do a primaries. And for me, I said, what is it? I've never needed an office to be able to serve. Like my husband will always say to me, you've been serving Nigeria since 2014. You've never needed an office. And that's not a reason for me to stop doing what I want to, or what I've wanted to do. Yes, I wanted to be in the red chambers because, of course, I've advocated on the outside. I have used my constitutional voice to advocate on the outside. On the inside, I'll be using my constitutional authority, and I can only get the constitutional authority by the people voting for me to get into office. But that didn't happen. Hey, it is what it is. And for me, I have a presidential candidate that I'm supporting. I know some people seem to have issues with that. For everyone, you're as good as I am, or even better. Please support your own presidential candidate the way you want to. I want to support my own presidential candidate the way I want to. But that's not going to stop me from thinking about Nigeria. What are the things that are going to happen? And there is this bill that I'm just thinking about now, Contractors Payment Compliance Act. We should have that. I grew up as a child watching my father do some contracts, for government institution, and not being paid, and that almost paralyzing him. My father is a fighter in a way. He doesn't give up. My coconut head comes from my father. He will follow any matter to the end. And I saw how he fought, all this. But over the years, by the time you spend 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes a decade fighting government to pay you the money that you've worked for, you've done contract and everything, even when they pay it doesn't make any sense at the end of the day, because sometimes money has lost its value, especially in Nigeria, where you have this high rate of inflation. A lot of things do happen. And so, why will government not pay interest on the monies, on payments that are delayed for contractors, especially indigenous contractors? Meanwhile, they do it with certain companies here that are not indigenous. Why would they do it for everyone? And that's why I came up with this. Let's have a contractors payment compliance act. Yes, I might not be currently running for Senate, but those who are there, hey, they said other people's experience or other people's knowledge or other people's thinking. At the end of the day, I want something that's going to be for the betterment of Nigeria. Can someone amongst the people that are, even the ones that are there, and if they still have enough time to be able to get this passed, or the ones that will be coming, please, can someone pick this up? And one of the things that I'm going to be doing, is this the 10th Assembly? Yes, I think this is the 10th Assembly. With the 11th Assembly, I'm going to be very, very present there. You'll be seeing my face. Yes, I might not be in office, because I wasn't, even though people have still wanted for me to run. There's been a lot. In short, I've gotten, like, is it 4? Yeah, I've gotten up to 4 or more parties that have come to me. They wanted me to run on their ticket. They're going to step down and all of that. Nah, let me focus on the presidential ticket, because presidential ticket needs a lot of, how do I put it, support and defense from all of us. You understand? With time, I will explain what I mean So we need to safeguard it. We need to protect that presidential ticket candidacy. So that's for me, it's where I'm putting my attention on. But as we go into the 11th Senate by the 11th Assembly by the grace of God, I'll be very more present in the National Assembly, just in every way that I can put forth some of these things that I'm thinking about, work with the people that are there that are open to being worked in. I've never believed that I need to be in an office to contribute. I'll contribute my quota irrespective. One of the things that I don't take for granted in my life is the fact that I have financial independence, so I can afford to do a lot of things. And I have a lot of time on my hand. Somebody was asking me yesterday, say, how old is your youngest child? And I'm like 24. He said, eh? I say, yes. Now, why do you think I have so much time on my hand? But anyway, the Contractors Payment Compliance Act, I said, there's a need for a strong enforceable law to be enacted that compels every tier of government, federal, state, and local, to pay contractors all due invoices within 30 days. Yes, a month. Within, why you owe people more than a month? They've done the work. If you didn't have the money to pay the work, why did you contract them? And if they done their work, pay them. If you then don't pay them, then you have with mandatory interest, at least at the prevailing Central Bank of Nigeria monetary policy rate, plus 5% on any delayed payment. Yes, you delay to pay, because some people go to banks to go and borrow money. They borrow money, they now come and work, and before you know what's happening, so many people are thrown into debt. People lose their business, a lot of things, jobs, a lot businesses collapse, all because of contract that they do. I remember MS Umoru. He was an Agbede man who owned a ceramic factory in Kaduna, in Kano. I remember, because this was someone who, I think he was the richest Agbede man that we know. In Kano, he was such a big deal, and all of that, and employed a lot of people and co. And one of the stories that we have out there, that he did a government contract, I think when they were building the Gwarimpa estate, that he's the one who supplied government, and they didn't pay him. And that was the end of his having that company. Imagine someone who had this company in his 80s he did tiles, toilets, this ceramic toilets, water closets, and all. I think bathtubs and all of that. I was quite young, but he was the the big deal. Although in terms of, let me not go there, sha. But then people sha. Literally, then this is so funny. All Agbede people out there, they like go to his house, pay homemade, do things. My dad, even though we had nothing, even though we were suffering, even though there were a lot of talk, my dad should come and be working for him and all of that, he said no. If you buy coconut head, he comes from somewhere, you would rather not eat than go and be a slave with someone. But anyway, that's another story. But imagine such a company being lost because they were owned. Even if you paid decades later, that money is practically useless, because inflation would have all literally eaten it up. And so this is the bet. If you pay this in at the prevailing, interest in the bank, then that will do. That would be something. Contractors will deliver on their work only for government to delay payments for months or years, pushing many businesses into distress and liquidation. A contractor's payment compliance act will make it mandatory for government to pay within 30 days with automatic interest on delays. No more using contractors as unwilling bankers, because that's what he's doing. You collect their money, you borrow their money, and then you don't pay them, and you just leave them to just be hanging there. The persistent delay in government payment to contractors constitutes a major obstacle to economic growth, infrastructure delivery, and job creation in Nigeria. That's just a statement that I put out on my social media. And what do you think about this act? Do you think it's something that Nigeria should do? People should push? Thank you so much for watching. Bye.